Sarah's check engine light comes on. Wednesday morning. She has $47 until Friday's paycheck. The mechanic says, catalytic converter sensor. Fix it now, it's $280. If you wait, it spreads to the converter itself. That's $2,000. Sarah does the math. Rent. Due Monday. $850. Already paid from last check. Groceries needed. $65. Gas for work. $35. Account balance. $47. She can't have $280. I'll have to wait, she tells him. 2 months later, her car dies on the highway. The engine seizes. The bill. Tow truck, $180. New catalytic converter, $1,900. Rental car, 4 days, $200. 2 missed work shifts, $220. Total, $2,500. Sarah doesn't have $2,500. She takes a title loan at 300% APR. Over 8 months of minimum payments, she pays back $4,100. Because she couldn't afford $280 2 months ago, she paid $4,100 instead. This isn't bad luck. This isn't poor planning. This is mathematics. There's a formula that explains why being broke is the most expensive condition you can be in. It's called the Boots theory of socioeconomic unfairness. And once you understand it, you'll see this mathematical trap everywhere. In your bank account, at the grocery store, at the car dealership, in every corner of your financial life. 1993. British fantasy author Terry Pratchett publishes a novel called Men-at-Arms. In it, a character named Sam Vimes thinks about boots. The reason that the rich were so rich, Vimes reasoned, was because they managed to spend less money. Take boots, for example. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50, but an affordable pair of boots, which were sort of okay for a season or two and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $10. But the thing was that good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 had a pair of boots that'd still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years' time, while a poor man who could only afford cheap boots would have spent $100 on boots in the same time and would still have wet feet. Pratchett wrote this as satire. But buried in that paragraph is a mathematical proof of something economists would later study extensively. Let me show you the math. Rich man's boots, cost, $50, lifespan, 10 years, cost per year, $5, total spent over 10 years, $50. Poor man's boots, cost, $10, lifespan, 1 year. Must buy 10 pairs over 10 years. Cost per year, $10. Total spent over 10 years, $100. The poor man spent $100 for the same outcome as the rich man's $50. He paid double for worse boots. That's still leaked. This is the formula of the poverty premium. Poverty premium equals total cost of cheap option over time minus total cost of quality option over time. In this case, $100 minus $50 equals $50 poverty premium. The poor man pays a 100% markup over the rich man, not for luxury but for the exact same basic need. Dry feet. The rich man saves $50 not because he's smarter or more disciplined, but because he had $50 when he needed it. And here's the brutal part. That saved $50 can be used to buy the next quality item, creating a compound effect. Meanwhile, the poor man is trapped in a cycle of replacing cheap boots forever. This isn't a story about boots. This is a mathematical description of how poverty compounds itself through forced inefficiency. Now let me show you where this formula appears in your actual life. Let's start with banking, because this is where the math becomes genuinely predatory. You have $23 in your checking account. You forgot about that $9.99 Netflix subscription that auto-renews today. The charge hits. Your balance, $13.01. Then your $15 phone bill hits. Balance, -$1.99. The bank doesn't say, hey, you're $2 short, maybe transfer from savings? No. They process the transaction and charge you an overdraft fee, $35. Let's do the math on that transaction. You effectively borrowed $1.99 for 1 day until your paycheck deposits tomorrow. The cost? $35. That's an annual percentage rate of 641,000%. If a payday lender charged this rate, they'd be investigated for usury. When a bank does it, it's called standard overdraft protection. But it gets worse. That $35 fee put you further into the negative. Now you're at -$36.99. The next small transaction that hits? Another $35 fee, and another. Some people rack up $200 plus in overdraft fees in a single day from multiple small transactions. In 2023, banks collected $8.3 billion in overdraft fees. almost exclusively from people with less than $1,000 in their accounts. Here's the structure. If you have $5,000 in your account, you never pay overdraft fees. The bank might even pay you interest, though barely. If you have $20 in your account, you're one forgotten subscription away from losing $35, more than your entire balance. The math is clear. The rich get paid interest, the poor pay interest. This is the banking poverty premium. You pay for the privilege of being broke. Let's talk about groceries because this is where the poverty premium is most visible and most unavoidable. Costco. 36 roll pack of toilet paper equals $28. Cost per roll, 78 cents. Corner store, 4 roll pack of toilet paper equals $6. Cost per roll, $1.50. The person who can afford to spend $28 upfront pays 78 cents per roll. The person who only has $6 pays $1.50 per roll, 92% more for the exact same product. But to access the Costco price, you need 1. $60 for the annual membership, 2. $28 for the toilet paper, and realistically $150 plus to make the trip worthwhile. 3. A car to transport bulk goods. 4. Storage space in your home. 5. The ability to lock up $150 in inventory instead of using that money for immediate needs. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you don't have those things, so you pay the corner store premium every single time. This applies to everything. Laundry detergent, 150% markup for small sizes. Diapers, 140% markup. Rice, pasta, canned goods. The average poverty premium on household goods is 40 to 60% higher costs for buying in small quantities. Over a year, this adds up. A family spending $400 per month on household goods at corner store prices could spend $250 per month at bulk warehouse prices if they had the capital to buy bulk. Annual poverty premium, $1,800. That's $1,800 they're paying just for not having enough money to shop efficiently. And that $1,800 is exactly why they can't save money to shop efficiently. The trap closes on itself. Now let's talk about cars, because this is where the poverty premium becomes genuinely devastating. 2 people need a car. Both need it to get to work. Without a car, they can't work. Without work, they can't pay for anything. The car isn't optional. Person A. Good credit, $3,000 saved. Buys, 2018 Honda Civic with 45,000 miles. Price, $16,000. Down payment, $3,000. Loan amount, $13,000. Interest rate, 4.5%. Good credit. Monthly payment, $242 for 60 months. Total paid, $17,520. The car lasts 10 plus years with basic maintenance. Person B, bad credit, $0 saved. Goes to, buy here, pay here. Lot, only place that will approve them. Buys, 2015. Nissan Sentra with 98,000 miles. Questionable maintenance history. Price, $12,000. Car's actual value, approximately $5,000. Down payment, $0. Loan amount, $12,000. Interest rate, 24.99%. Subprime. Monthly payment, $338 for 48 months. Total paid, $16,224. But here's what actually happens. After 18 months of payments, $6,084 paid, the transmission fails. The car is worth $2,000. They still owe $8,500 on the loan. Now they have no car. They still owe $8,500, and they need another car to keep working. Back to the buy here, pay here lot. Another predatory loan. The debt compounds. Person A paid $17,520 for 10 plus years of reliable transportation. Person B paid $16,224 for 18 months of transportation, still owes $8,500 on a dead car, and has to start over. The person with less money paid more per month for a worse car that died faster, and ended up deeper in debt. This is the poverty premium on transportation, and transportation is mandatory to work in most of America. But here's where this gets darker. Being broke doesn't just cost money, it costs cognitive function. 2013. Economists Sendil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir publish a study in the journal Science. They test the IQ of sugarcane farmers in India at 2 different times. Test 1. Right before harvest, when farmers are broke, worried about money, haven't been paid in months. Test 2. Right after harvest, when farmers just got paid, have cash, aren't worried. Same farmers, same IQ test, 8 weeks apart. Results. When broke, pre-harvest, Farmers scored 13 IQ points lower than when flush post-harvest. 13 points. That's the equivalent of missing a full night of sleep or being mildly drunk. That's the difference between average intelligence and borderline intellectual disability on some scales. The mechanism. When your brain is consumed with financial stress, calculating, can I afford food this week? And what if I can't pay rent? It uses up cognitive bandwidth. The mental resources required for financial anxiety leave less brain power for everything else. This is called cognitive load, and financial scarcity creates massive cognitive load. This is why poor people make decisions that look irrational to outside observers. Taking the payday loan at 400% interest, buying lottery tickets, eating fast food instead of cooking. It's not stupidity, it's cognitive overload. When your working memory is maxed out calculating immediate survival, you literally have less brain power available for complex decision-making. The study proved this mathematically. Being broke temporarily makes you dumber, which makes you make worse financial decisions, which makes you broker, which makes you even dumber. The cycle reinforces itself. The poverty premium isn't just financial, it's cognitive. You pay with IQ points, and then there's the time tax. This is the poverty premium that nobody talks about because it's invisible in conventional economic analysis. Person with washer, dryer at home. Load laundry, 2 minutes. Start machine, walk away, do other things. Move to dryer, 1 minute. Fold when done, 10 minutes. Total active time, 13 minutes. Cost, 75 cents. Water plus electricity. Can work, study or rest during machine run time. Person using laundromat. Travel to laundromat, 15 minutes. Wait for available machine, 10 minutes. Load machine, buy detergent from vending, 5 minutes. Sit and watch clothes, can't leave, risk of theft, 35 minutes. Move to dryer, 5 minutes. Sit and watch dryer, 45 minutes. Fold, 10 minutes. Travel home, 15 minutes. Total time, 140 minutes, 2 hours 20 minutes. Cost, $8. Wash plus dry plus detergent plus transportation. The person without $400 for a used washer pays 10 times more time per load, 10 times more money per load, 1 load per week for a year. Home machine, 11 hours, $39. Laundromat, 121 hours, $416. Being broke costs 110 hours per year just on laundry. That's almost 3 full work weeks. If you value that time at minimum wage, $7.25 per hour, the real cost of not having a washing machine is $377 plus $416 equals $793 per year. For one of $400 upfront, you pay $793 annually, forever. And that 110 hours? You can't spend it working a second job. You're at the laundromat. You can't spend it with family. You can't spend it learning a skill that might get you a better job. Poverty steals time. Time is money. By stealing time, poverty steals future earning potential. Now multiply this across every aspect of life. Banking. Traveling to free ATMs instead of paying $3 fees, but the travel costs time and gas. Healthcare. ER visits instead of preventive care. Cost 10 times more, takes 5 times longer. Food. Multiple trips to corner stores instead of one bulk trip. Time plus markup. Bills. Paying late fees because you have to wait for payday. Time managing crisis. The time tax compounds the monetary poverty premium into something even more inescapable. So how do you break out? How do you escape a mathematical trap where being broke makes you pay more, which keeps you broke, which keeps you paying more? The answer isn't get rich. That's not actionable. The answer is stop the bleeding. The most important number in personal finance math isn't your net worth or your credit score. It's your buffer. Buffer, the amount of money between you and catastrophe. For most people, that magic number is $1,000. Not $10,000. Not 6 months of expenses. Just $1,000. Here's the math on why that specific number is so powerful. Without a $1,000 buffer, flat tire, can't afford $120 repair, can't drive to work, miss 2 shifts, $180 lost, behind on bills, late fee, $35, take payday loan to catch up, $150 borrowed, $195 paid back with interest, total cost, $530, with a $1,000 buffer, flat tire, pay $120 repair from savings, drive to work, no cascading disaster, slowly rebuild savings, total cost, $120. The buffer saved $410 on a single incident by preventing the cascade. Small leak under sink. Without buffer, ignore it. Becomes major leak. Destroys floor. $2,800 repair. With buffer, $80 to fix immediately. Toothache. Without buffer. Ignore it. Becomes infected. Root canal, $1,200. With buffer, $150 filling. The $1,000 buffer doesn't make you rich. It makes you not poor. There's a massive mathematical difference. Being poor isn't just having less money than rich people. Being poor is being in the zone where small problems become catastrophic. The buffer moves you out of that zone. It flips the equation from defense, surviving cascading disasters, to offense, building wealth. Here's the compound effect. Year 1. Save $1,000 buffer. It prevents 3 cascading disasters, saving you $800 in poverty premiums. Year 2. That $800 you didn't lose helps you save faster. You get to $2,000. Now you can increase your insurance deductible because you can afford the deductible, which lowers your monthly premium by $40. You save $480 per year on insurance. Year 3. You have $3,000. You can buy the bulk toilet paper, the quality work boots, fix the car immediately. Your monthly costs drop by $50 because you're paying less in poverty premiums. The buffer creates a positive feedback loop, the inverse of the poverty trap's negative feedback loop. But building that first $1,000 is brutal because you're fighting against all the forces we just discussed. You're paying poverty premiums. Your cognitive bandwidth is consumed. Your time is stolen. Here's the strategy. Step 1. Audit for vampire costs. Go through your last 3 months of expenses. Identify every poverty premium you're paying, overdraft fees, late fees, buying small quantities instead of bulk, high-interest debt payments, convenience fees, ATM fees, check cashing fees, money orders to pay bills, rental fees, furniture, appliances, rent to own. Add them up. That's your monthly poverty tax. For most people, it's $100 to $300 per month. Step 2. Identify the biggest leak. Which single poverty premium costs you the most per month? Is it overdraft fees, late fees, high-interest car payment, buying small quantities? That's your target. Step 3. Ruthlessly cut everything else until you can plug that one leak. Not forever. Just long enough to save the amount needed to plug the biggest leak. Need $500 to fix your car so it stops burning oil? That fix saves you $80 a month in extra gas and prevents a future $2,000 engine replacement. Getting that $500 isn't extra money. It's a strategic strike against a future expense. You're buying your way out of the trap. Sell old electronics. Do food delivery on weekends. Eat rice and beans for a month. Pause the streaming services. This isn't deprivation. It's warfare against the poverty premium. Step 4. Once the biggest leak is plugged, build the buffer. Take the money you're no longer bleeding on the biggest poverty premium and bank it. Don't spend it. Stack it. $50 per month times 20 months equals $1,000 buffer. Yes, 20 months sounds like forever, but it's finite. The poverty trap is infinite. Let me be clear about something. This is unfair. Deeply, mathematically unfair. It takes 10 times as much effort to get from $0 to $10,000 as it does to get from $10,000 to $100,000. The initial escape velocity is brutal. The person starting at 0 is fighting. Poverty premiums bleeding money. Cognitive load, reducing decision-making. Time theft, preventing additional income. No buffer, meaning every setback is catastrophic. The person starting with $10,000 has none of those anchors. They're sailing with the wind while you're rowing against it. But understanding the math is the only way to stop blaming yourself. Most people think they're bad with money, that they lack discipline, that they make stupid choices. The math proves you're not bad with money. You're paying mathematical penalties for being broke. The system is designed this way. Banks budget for your overdraft fees. Retailers depend on you buying the expensive small sizes. Dealerships count on you taking the predatory loan. When you start making decisions based on the Boots theory, buying quality once instead of cheap repeatedly, building a buffer to prevent cascades, eliminating poverty premiums, you become a bad customer for them. But you become a great CFO for your own life. If this explains why you feel stuck financially, share it. If you've ever paid the poverty premium and didn't even know it had a name, hit that like button, subscribe. Because the math of being broke is a trap designed to keep you broke, and understanding it is the first step out.